Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. While Prime Minister Alan Chastanet is of the view that reinstating a curfew could aid with the lessening of crime, Independent Senator Adrian Auger is of a different view. He says it will take more than just restricting people to their homes at a certain time to eradicate or even lessen crime in St. Lucia. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
On Tuesday, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet revealed that the re-implementation of a nationwide curfew is not only a possibility, but that it is very much on the table in an effort to curb what is seemingly a sharp spike in violent crime. On Thursday, Independent Senator Adrian Auger told the media that he believes it will take more than a curfew to stop crime, and an entire nation should not be made to pay for the sins of a few.
I do not think that the curfew itself is the answer. I think we need to return to the fundamental issues of community policing, effective policing, crime abatement, the justice system, which is in a horrible mess, and tackle those things rather than infringing on the liberties of ordinary citizens to proceed with their life as they see fit. We who are law-abiding citizens should not be penalized for the excesses of others who, for some reason, do not seem to feel the force of the law.
He says the current spike in the number of violent activities in St. Lucia is cause for alarm, and further called for a deeper investigation into the cause of the sudden upsurge in crime.
There has been a spate of murders in the last, I would say, 10 days or so that is extremely worrying. I am not sure what has caused this sudden burst of activity. Certainly when the state of emergency and the curfew, well, the state of emergency is still in place. When the curfew was effectively being observed, we seem to have had a quietening down of those sorts of things. I am very worried that almost daily for the last 4 or 5 days we have had some violent incident. I don't know what is causing it, but hopefully we may have something in terms of an explanation from the authorities very soon.
Auger says, while crime is not a new phenomenon on island, any sharp increases threaten the very development of the country. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
National Security Minister Herman Gill Francis believes the issue of gun violence on island is bigger than face value. He says all too often police are left grasping at straws when members of the public are in possession of the necessary information required to advance these cases. Francis further stated that reinstating a curfew may not be the answer to the recent spike in violent crime.
Following a recent spike in gun-related crimes on island, National Security Minister Herman Gill Francis has made a call for greater collaboration between members of the public and local law enforcement. Francis says there have been many cases where people choose to withhold vital information from law enforcement simply because they deem the incident to be nothing of their immediate concern.
Yeah, there is an issue of gun crime, and I've spoken about it. Persons complain and blame the minister, the commissioner of police, the police, and the judiciary. I've always said that all of us are in, and it has to take a collective response to dealing with crime. There are persons who actually have information and refuse to give the information. The only time they're willing or want information to be given to the police is when it's very close to home, and that cannot be.
In response to concerns raised about the safety of police informants, Francis disclosed that St. Lucia utilized a very intricate and effective witness protection program. However, witnesses are not criminals, and it is left to their own discretion whether or not they would like to accept police protection.
Sometimes the witnesses know for a fact that they have assisted the police, but they live their lives like, it's everyday dealing. And we cannot force persons to go into areas where we want to put them. And some persons are free to say, well, okay, I want to go at my home. And I mean, he has not committed any crime, he or she has not committed any crime. So we allow them. But the ideal thing is that they put you in custody, so that, not custody per se, but they put you in a protective situation. But it is for them to decide whether they want to do it or not.
Francis says while discussions are ongoing regarding a possible curfew reinstatement, he is not convinced that this is the most effective mode of action to address the crime situation.
At the end of the day, that is the individual's perception of what is happening. When we had the curfew, it was to deal with the spread of the coronavirus. Okay, so that's why you had 2 persons per vehicle, you had the zones and all these other things. Yes, it did assist us in fighting crime, but I don't think that it was the main thing that prevented the crime situation. I think persons understood the health issues and they behaved themselves. Now that the curfew is out, it's for the police and for the government to find ways and means of dealing with it.
He stressed that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, though well-intentioned, cannot pave the way to a safer St. Lucia in solitude. He encourages the public to cooperate with law enforcement to ensure that crime can not only be mitigated, but justice can be found for those fatally impacted by gun violence. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Minister for Culture Fortuna Belrose on Thursday indicated that it was disheartening that St. Lucians took it upon themselves to break the law and have informal carnival sessions when it was explicitly explained that the event would be postponed until 2021. On the other hand, Senator Adrian Auger says the events seen were heartwarming, as they serve to show that people still have the freedom of expression and could use their creativity despite the postponement of Carnival 2020.
Although Carnival 2020 was postponed to 2021 due to COVID-19, some revelers were seen on both Carnival Monday and Tuesday in various communities and along the Carnival route having informal Carnival jams. Minister for Culture, Senator Fortuna Belrose, on Thursday expressed her disappointment as she believes that what took place was criminal.
But to just see people deliberately going out to break the law, I think it's a little troublesome and worrisome for us as a society that we cannot contain and control ourselves because we believe things must happen a certain way and we can each take on our own, and do what we believe is supposed to happen. But we must respect the rules, and that's why you live in a society. The rules and the law is what governs us. And so we trust that St. Lucians can continue to understand that and work within the framework of the law and protocols that have been established.
On the other hand, Carnival enthusiast Senator Adrian Auger says it was a sight for sore hearts as people made the best out of a tough situation.
Those persons sought to express themselves creatively, culturally, remembering that Carnival is about fun and enjoyment. I was particularly pleased to see the Carnival in Marshall, which reminds us of where the Carnival started with the people, with the ordinary people of this country, and the fact that people came out and celebrated and still observed the protocols and the mass crowd guidelines. I think that's wonderful.
Auger lamented on the fact that St. Lucian Carnival lost its appeal or was not allowed to happen due to the fact that borders were closed, stating that more needs to be done on the local front.
I think it's unfortunate that the Carnival has reached a stage where it is not viable because our borders are closed. That's an anomaly which perhaps we need to address in our future planning for the festival, because this is a St. Lucian festival. And while we appreciate that visitors want to come to us and enjoy it, I think it's unfortunate that our festival is seen as unviable because the borders are closed. If the festival is seen as unviable because of health issues in the domestic community, I understand that. But the fact that people are not coming, therefore we cannot have our festival, I think is a bit of an anomaly that we ought to address in the future planning and development of the festival.
Although majority of the jams on Monday 20th were stopped by police, many people still came out again on Tuesday 21st to continue their carnival celebrations. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Now, on the issue of cannabis, Independent Senator Adrian Auger believes that reform is being sensationalized and says efforts to deter the government from taking such an action is not in touch with the realities of cannabis use on island. More in this report.
As discussions continue on cannabis reform, Independent Senator Adrian Auger has tuned into the matter, expressing the opinion that though such a revolutionary development must be thoroughly reviewed, there are more critical issues which require this level of dialogue.
I think there's been quite a bit of discussion on this very difficult subject. We've done more difficult things before and seem to have proceeded quite happily with them. I remember the days when we had a large social outcry against gambling, but we have casinos operating happily. Nobody seems to be terribly disturbed about it. There are a lot of greater ills in our society that we need to worry about rather than cannabis.
He says, why not allow the law to guide the use of a substance already so abundantly available in society?
I don't know anybody who cannot get their hands on cannabis right now if they really want it. So I'm not sure what would change. Of course, we have to protect especially minors and persons who are not educated as to the dangers of it. But we sell alcohol across the counter every day, and that has destroyed many hundreds of lives in our country. So the responsible production of cannabis, to me, is a viable option for us. I mean, if we sell passports, surely we could sell weed.
OJ says a government should examine what truly exists in terms of cannabis use on island, especially when determining the pros and cons of cannabis reform. Jacko Widding, Hot 7 News.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.